My name is Zachary Conan. I'm here with my friend Kraig, and we just watched episodes Anasazi, The Blessing Way, and Paperclip. So the finale of season 2 and the first 2 episodes of season 3. Probably my 2 favorite seasons of the X-Files. And I refer to these 3 episodes as the trifecta, mostly because that's how my girlfriend would refer to them. I think these are probably her favorite episodes, so that means I've seen these episodes I don't know, a countless amount of times. But luckily, they are very good episodes. My favorite episodes are probably the Piper Maru and Apocrypha episodes from the 3rd season that introduced the black oil, but we kind of lay down some of that foundation in these 3 episodes, and a lot of super important things happen. So if you're interested in this kind of content about like X-Files or even more art house films, or we also cover Star Trek and Buffy the Vampire Slayer, basically anything really that I feel like talking about, definitely subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and give this video a like. It actually helps out a lot that viewers engage with the video. Kraig, what did you think of these 3 episodes?
They were very confusing. That's for sure. A lot of stuff happens, and you would expect it to all the loose ends to be tied up. No, it's X-Files. X-Files doesn't tie up their loose ends all the time.
I say this on every video, the best X-Files episodes leave you with more questions than answers. And, this one is absolutely no exception to that. Chris Carter, as a writer and the creator of the show, knows exactly how to hypnotize you. And it was really cool actually seeing Chris Carter have a cameo in this episode, too, as one of the bureau heads who were investigating, questioning, interrogating Dana Scully. There's a lot of great things in here. I feel like if you had to pick a theme to these 3 episodes, what would it be? Because I think that the themes are kind of dictated by the lines. But specifically, what do you think of the theme of nothing vanishes without a trace? I think that that's really what these 3 episodes are about. What do you think?
I guess that just ties back into the whole the answers are out there, the truth is out there.
Yeah.
And that you can't simply write something off as being unexplainable.
Yeah. Well, I think that line, which is first spoken by the code breaker, the Native American Navajo code breaker, and then spoken again by the cigarette smoking man in the episode Anasazi of nothing vanishes without a trace. I think that it works in every sort of way, so thematically, narratively, and symbolically, metaphorically as well, because we see the literal nothing vanishes without a trace of Mulder and Scully finally uncovering with their own eyes and without any sort of skepticism involved or implied that there is this conspiracy that dates back to the 40s, and they thought they covered everything up, but nothing disappears without a trace. So we have the literal representation of that. But I was really into the poetic one, which was Fox Mulder's father being assassinated. And then by episode 3, the well-manicured man tells Fox Mulder that he's now a danger. That his father was... that his sister was taken as insurance because his father threatened to expose the project or the syndicate. And that now Fox Mulder has become his father, and he is now dangerous as well because he is threatening to expose the project. So it's like Fox Mulder's father may be dead, but his spirit and his and what he symbolized for the project, the threat of exposure, still lives on through the sun. And that's a really nice, adventurous kind of symbolic meaning. But then Dana Scully's sister is also dead, and the whole sad, tragic part there is that was an accidental killing. Krychek and his goons wanted to kill Scully, but her sister Melissa showed up instead. So she is stuck with what was her end line? It was fantastic. Her ending line in Paperclip was she's heard the truth, but now what she wants are the answers, which not only is a great way to keep you hooked and watching the rest of that season, but also a great representation of her idea of bury your dead alive, or nothing vanishes without a trace. Whereas the death that happened in Mulder's life, both of these are by Krychek's hands, by the way, kind of ignited a flame or kept the fire going or led to the truth, led to more uncovering of the truth. So it had almost a positive impact on Fox Mulder in a way. Whereas Dana Scully's sister dying, nothing positive can be gleaned from that. And Dana is left with just a complete and real loss. What did you think of this was the first time that we met the other men in the project besides the cigarette smoking man. What did you think of the well manicured man?
He's my favorite villain so far.
He is so cool. He had amazing lines. He either had amazing lines or he has had perfect deliveries. Because one of my favorite X-Files lines of all time is when it's right after Fox's father's funeral and he's speaking with Dana and he says, "I'm in the business of predicting the future, and the best way to predict the future is to invent it." And that's just, that's perfect. That's amazingly well done.
Also, that guy's mannerisms, the way he comes across is just perfect.
Or even in Paperclip, in the greenhouse of, is there anything else you're not telling me? More than you'll ever know. It's just perfectly done. He carries himself quite well. And I think it's a pretty good amplification of what the cigarette smoking man's villainy represents. Because if you thought the cigarette smoking man was bad, this guy he's vicious in a very gentlemanly way. He's cultured, and now he even makes the cigarette smoking man seem like a guy, almost desperate. We see him stumble a lot and fumble and lie to the other members of this syndicate. Like when the car bomb doesn't kill Alex Krychek, Krychek gets the tapes and is like, if I even see a blurry photograph of you or whatever, I'm going to make you super famous, because he's going to threaten to sell the secrets from the tape. Mm-hmm. And he turns around to the syndicate members like, "Oh, I was just told everything's fine. Everything's all good." And then the dynamic, I think that one of the best ends that were tied off, one of the best narratives that was secured and completed, the best arc of these 3 episodes, is actually the scenes between Skinner and the cigarette smoking man, where Skinner is trying his hardest for autonomy, but he's in a sense being cuckolded out of it every time by the cigarette smoking man. He's trying to have integrity, he's trying to be strong, but this man is 10 levels above him, and he gets to tell him what to do all the time and dictate his behavior. And then finally, at the end of Paperclip, we see Skinner have the upper hand. He's had the shit kicked out of him, he's been embarrassed, and we see him finally with the bluff, well, you see this man? He's told 20 others as oral tradition, high technology, am I right? And he kind of saved his own life and the life of Mulder and Scully as well. I thought that was really well done. What did you think?
Oh, yeah, I thought that moment was really badass. No, this is there's a lot of questions left. What the fuck was up with that giant spaceship? What was up with the little people running past Scully?
And just for context, if you haven't listened to our other videos, I've seen every episode, but Kraig is watching in real time here. If you hear Kraig on one of these, it's his first time seeing the episode, so he is left with a bunch of questions. And I'm on the fence about whether or not to spoil them, but I loved, you just brought up that, I love the set design. I love the idea of a filing cabinet sealed in a mountain vault. I love the idea of that filing system. It's just bonkers. It's wild.
There's just old rails.
Yeah.
Going down the pathway for the filing cabinets.
It was brilliantly done, because you're oh, this is old. This is all vacant. And because they find Samantha's file first and other files. And you're wait, no, this is up to date. This is your file, Scully, with a recent tissue sample. You're oh my God, this is being kept and watched over. And it adds eeriness to it. just effortlessly. Just incredibly well done. And I love when he peels back Samantha Mulder's name to reveal his own name, that he was originally the person who was supposed to be taken by these extraterrestrial entities.
Mm.
It's wonderful. It's about uncovering the sins of your father, but also becoming him at the same exact time. Like, that's the poetic meaning of the show, which lends itself towards the nothing vanishes or disappears without a trace kind of mantra that Chris Carter, I think, emotionally modeled these episodes around. There are a lot of parts that are just really well done. Whenever we do an X-Files, we typically talk about how well photographed it is, how well kind of plotted it is, and it really absolutely is. And even though I've seen these episodes a lot, I watch them again, I get something new from it, and this time it was the setup to Melissa Scully's death. It was the setup to Dana's sister dying, because it's filmed with so much paranoia and so much uncertainty, because you don't know if you're going to trust Skinner when he nearly runs her over to get her into the car. You don't even know if you should trust Melissa Scully. You don't know if they got to her somehow, because you don't see her until she enters the house. You don't see her on the phone or anything like that. And then in the darkness, you don't know exactly who shot her either. And Chris Carter has so much faith in his audience. Krychek does have a line in The Blessing Way. It's "damn it," when he realizes he made a mistake. But he does not have a single line of dialogue in Anasazi. And you have not seen this person since Ascension, which we have covered on this channel. So Chris Carter is hoping that you remember this character that appeared nearly 20 episodes in the past, nearly 20 episodes ago. And the next time you see him is at one of the most pivotal moments in X-Files mythology, where he is standing behind Fox's father in the bathroom. It's like, he doesn't have a line of dialogue that episode, which I think is kind of just fantastically offbeat. Really weird decision, even when Mulder and him are wrestling. He doesn't even grunt. He has no lines. If you didn't see those 2 episodes, the 3 episodes he appeared in 20 episodes before, you would be lost as to who the hell this guy was.
Yeah. Yeah, and I also want to know why the hell they tried to take out Krychek.
Because Krychek messed up with killing Melissa Scully instead. And the well-manicured man basically told the cigarette-smoking man, "This is your mess up. You better clean this up. I want you to get the tape back, and I want you to destroy it." So the cigarette-smoking man was like, "Fine, I'll kill 2 birds with 1 stone. They'll beat the files out of Skinner. They'll beat the tape, the MJ tape, away from Skinner. And then I'll get rid of Krychek at the same time, because he displeased the well-manicured man." But it didn't work out. Because Krychek is intelligent, he is smart, he just has no autonomy. But now we see the ultimate fallout that he had with the Syndicate, or the first fallout, I should say, that he has with the Syndicate. Now he's a lone wolf.
If I had to guess, going forward, he's going to become some kind of neutral character in a way, and actually end up helping out Scully and Mulder in some way.
Well, he does reveal later on that he secretly wants Mulder to win. Of course, he does that when he's holding a gun to his head and telling him that he could have killed him 1,000 times. He does not become neutral, though. He continues to do more and more awful and unforgivable things to these people.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a back and forth kind of character. You see him 2 or 3 times a season. Sometimes he's alone. Sometimes he works with the Syndicate. Sometimes, you're right, he does begrudgingly help Fox and Dana. But he's always got something vicious on his mind. he stays a villain. He stays very, very dark.
I guess what I meant by neutral was more as far as
a
plot-wise,
a common enemy kind of idea.
Yeah, plot-wise goes.
Yeah, it's just you can't ever trust Krychek, because he's just awful all the way through. And of course, he's my favorite villain in television. I do really, really like him. But that's a less is more thing. Because right now, you haven't seen him for at least 4 months of real-time television, and you wouldn't see him again until Piper Maru, which is another 3 months of real-time television. I like that the X-Files had the balls to do that.
This guy must get paid a decent amount of money.
I would hope. That's what I was wondering, actually, superficially, since he didn't have a line in Anasazi and only one word in Blessing Way. How much could he have been paid, possibly, for those 2 episodes?
I mean, he's got to get paid pretty decently because he keeps coming back, and like he could easily just go and sign a contract with someone else. I'm sure.
Yeah, I remember us saying earlier he signed up for 3 episodes, and we really liked the way that they ended his character on Ascension, where it's him, like, he obviously reveals himself to be working for the syndicate and for the project, but Skinner says, well, we can't find him, his apartment's completely empty, the phone doesn't work, he's just vanished. But nothing ever vanishes without a trace. Maybe the whole season was leading up to that idea. That's actually really cool. Because it was leading up to that idea, because the files, Dana's file is actually from that quote-unquote staged abduction that we saw in Ascension. That's what her file was there in. And she essentially was abducted, she essentially vanished, but nothing ever vanishes without a trace. And you see evidence of conspiracy surrounding her abduction in the final episode. And, yeah. That's fantastic. I actually think that probably was the theme of this episode. I do think, and you agree with me, you've said this on a previous video, that this is a show with a clear vision, with a clear direction. And Chris Carter is definitely smart enough to be like, yeah, it'll all like tie in near the end.
Yeah, I don't feel like this guy's just kind of like writing it as he goes. And I'm sure he's writing some of it as he goes, obviously.
Yeah, some of it.
But like he has to have at least like a plot line set out.
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. It's really well written science fiction because it hits all of the bases. It's one thing if a science fiction show or film can be like emotionally penetrating. It's another thing if it can actually make you daydream about technology or conspiracies. It's another thing if it can just surprise you with its plot twists. The X-Files does all of those things at the same time.
I think the thing the X-Files does the best, as opposed to all other science fiction, is make you feel a sense of doubt.
Yeah.
And I love that. The only thing I can relate it to is, like, I was playing a fantasy video game one time, and I was getting so immersed in what was going on that one of the side stories in the game was about all these people being abducted at night and never being found. And everything would lead people to believe that it was vampires, but the writing was so convincing that I thought vampires didn't exist in this world. Meanwhile, I'm casting spells and fucking fighting orcs and shit. And this game convinced me that vampires didn't exist because it gave me the right amount of doubt. And I think that's a point in writing that's often overlooked is giving your viewers doubt.
And all you have to do is just do like a little drop of doubt, you can give me 98% proof and 2% doubt, which is what these 3 episodes of the X-Files did, because you basically saw little green men running around and you did see a UFO flying overhead, but there was 2% doubt. There were 2% doubt, because maybe those weren't aliens and those were like experimented, like humans were experimented and preyed upon. Like, you don't, like, there's still 2% doubt.
And then as far as the spaceship, the only person who saw it was in what's the term called?
Delusional. I mean, he is.
No. Like, there's an actual writing term where you can't trust the viewpoint that you're given.
It's just an untrustworthy narrator is normally what that's called.
Yeah. That's what we were given. So it's like what we're seeing on screen could very well just be.
Yeah. There's a reason that like.
And he was coming down off of drugs. So.
Yeah, because he was being he's coming down off of drugs. Yeah.
Someone spiked his water supply.
Yeah, I love that. I love that was it. And like, you forget that the first time you see him in his apartment, like the wife, the old elderly couple down the hall, the wife kills the husband for no apparent reason. It's because all of their water is spiked on that floor. And they tie that in wonderfully without ever really having to hit the nail on the head. Like Mulder says, there was a murder in my apartment. That was it. But like, you forget about it at that point. and it's really cool because it kind of it complicates the rhythm of the show, because you're like, why am I seeing this? Why is everyone acting crazy? You know, like that's not how your normal procedural X-File would go, and it all made sense within 25 minutes, and it was wonderful. But yeah, 2% doubt, because there's definitely a reason why Chris Carter chose to have Dana Scully still in that mountain vault with the filing system, and why he chose to put Mulder outside to see the most astonishing thing. Because Scully didn't get a completely clear look at these little humanoids, or whatever, these little creatures that were running by her. She did not get a clear look, and that is, of course, on purpose. Because Scully is someone who, the truth means for her is something she can observe, and something that can be, like, recreated, something she can touch. It's a tactile thing. And, yeah, you just have to have 2% of doubt, which is what these episodes give to us. Did you have, like, a favorite part of the episode, or was there a part that just struck you differently than any other part? Even if it's, like, a part that didn't add up right away.
Oh, man, let me recollect, because we watched 3 episodes back to back.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to just, like...
The trifecta.
The easiest is usually just remembering what happened in the most recent episode that you watched.
True.
But, oh, man. No, that's going to be kind of a hard one. I'd have to sit here and think about that.
There was a lot of information in these episodes. And once again, I think it was so tightly plotted that there wasn't a single scene that you could throw away. Because even a scene where Scully's talking to her sister that might seem extraneous is completely important, because her sister dies, and you need that scene to even care about who she is. Like, there is no unimportant scene.
Mm-hmm.
Not a single one. And I like the last episode you and I covered were Colony and Endgame, and in that there's like a clone of Mulder's sister that comes out, and like we were talking, like they did it really well to show that Fox's father knows better, because he never talks to it, and he never like calls it by the actual name or anything like that.
Yeah, and like I think. Yeah, the show just does a really good job, because it made me ask, like, some crazy questions. Like, when I saw the file, and I saw his name first, and then her name was, kind of plastered over it, for a second it made me just kind of go off into left field and be like, is she a clone of her brother? because all the information's there for me to make that assumption.
Your best question was, like, when they pulled out Dana Scully's file, and you're like, oh no. Fox and Dana better not be related. That'll fuck me up.
Yeah. Because anything's possible now, man.
Well, that one, I had to quash that one. I had to be like, nope, they're not related. That's different. She's there for a different reason.
Yeah.
And Mulder's name was there because he was supposed to go. And I will tantalize you, my friend, before I hit the stop button on this video.
Mm-hmm.
You want to know why he didn't go? Because the cigarette-smoking man convinced his father to choose the sister instead, at the last minute.
Okay.
Tantalized. But that's going to be it for the coverage of Anasazi, The Blessing Way, and Paperclip. Definitely subscribe, possibly even click the bell for notifications for when new X-Files videos are released. They're usually released every couple weeks, or at least once a month.
Yeah, and if you want to be more acquainted, follow Zach on Twitter.
Yeah, at Caricature of Zach. Links are in the description. Same with Kraig's. And you could also follow Kraig streams. He streams, I believe, are they called video games?
Yeah.
Okay.
I stream MMORPGs, so if that's something you're into, you could definitely check me out. If not, just keep coming back here. I'll definitely be on here every now and then.
Yeah, and you can find his stream from clicking on his Twitter. It should be right there in his profile. Twitter's the best way to contact me outside of YouTube if you really want to, because I am a fascinating person.